Hey there people, yes, I'm talking to all 15 to 50 of you who are watching this video, if I'm being generous. My name is Goran, and in this video we will talk about sewing, excuses, being overwhelmed, and how they all fit together. So, let's start from the beginning. For those who don't know, I'm working on a year-long project in which I make something every week. You can see more about that on my blog, goranofalltaste.com. Last week I made a bomber jacket. The reactions were great, the jacket itself wasn't bad either, but there is a bigger story behind. I wanted to make it for about 2 years now, so that begs the question why it took me so long to actually make it. And the answer is a big mix of excuses and time management. At first, I had seasons for an excuse. It's summer or winter, so it's way too hot or cold for the bomber jacket, or even it's already the end of spring or fall, so there is no time to wear it. And that leaves me with the end of winter and summer as an acceptable time to make it. I know, those are really lame excuses and probably hide something deeper behind them. After that, I was moving, and for a couple of months I didn't really have access to my sewing machine. That excuse is acceptable. But then I moved and got the sewing machine in the new apartment where I don't have the dedicated space for it. So it's harder for me to motivate myself to sew because that means I have to move stuff around to make space for the sewing machine, and that is just a hassle. But now we come to the real reason it took me so long. Since I started this project, the bomber jacket was on the list of ideas, but it never got done. I had two major problems here. One, sometimes when I have a bit larger project, it can be hard for me to divide it into smaller pieces, and instead I just look at it as this one big thing that needs to be done in one go. And that is definitely not the case ever. And even though I rationally know this, I still get overwhelmed by it. A more practical problem is time, or the lack of it. For a project like this, I know exactly how much time I need for it, and since I started a full-time job, it's way harder to find time for stuff like this if I want to have a social life and time for myself too, and especially if I want to do it in a week. These problems, practical or not, can perfectly transform into excuses why I'm not doing this thing I actually really want to do. In the past month or two, I almost started working on it almost every week. One week I actually started making a pattern for it, but that went horrible. So that's why I decided to use a pattern I found online. But here's how it would usually go. There comes Monday, and for whatever reason, I don't start it. And then I have other commitments on Tuesday and Wednesday. And would you look at that, it's already Thursday, and that is just too late to start a project of this size. Spoiler alert, when I finally started it, it was on Friday. And then I find some smaller projects to do for that week. This is a vicious cycle and something I haven't really talked about until now. The truth is that a challenge like this is mentally difficult. It is hard to keep the same amount of motivation to do something like this for the whole year. And I do know that the only pressure I feel is the one I'm putting on myself, but that doesn't change the fact that it is there. And here's a good question. Why do I put this pressure on myself to make something every single week for the whole year? The answer is that I need it a bit. I do love to make stuff, which is why I started this challenge in the first place, but if I don't have the pressure to finish something every week, I would make things so much slower, and I wouldn't try so much stuff I want to try. If it weren't for the pressure, the bomber jacket might have waited for 2 more years. Even with this challenge, I was still going back to the old excuse. It's too warm now, I'll do it in the fall, I still have time to do it within the challenge. And yet, somehow I successfully defeated my worst enemy, starting something. And this is a whole topic for itself. But here are the key things that made this happen. Excuse number 1. It is not the right weather for it. Solution? Who cares? If I make it now, I can still wear it when it's nice weather for it. Excuse number 2. Being overwhelmed. Solution? I planned the project in a little bit more detail. I still haven't planned it completely, but I knew how my week is going to look, I prepared the pattern in advance, and allocated time for it at the start of the week. Excuse number 3. Time. This goes together with the previous one. I finally made time for it because that is the obvious but sometimes hard to see solution for the problem of not having time for something. And the final thing is not connected to excuses, but it is the pressure I have for making this stuff. That is probably not the healthiest approach, but the point here for me is to have something to hold me accountable, and it does the job. After all this talk about the problems, here comes the triumphant moment we've all been waiting for, the actual making of the jacket. Let's go! What you just saw was 2 days of work on this project. It's funny how sometimes things that seem big and scary end up being a couple of hours or days of work, and then it's done, and you have a huge sense of satisfaction and you wonder, why it took you so long? This is obviously not a how to make a bomber jacket video, but if you want to see more about the process, you can read the boring stuff on my blog, link in the description. And let's end this with style. Let's see how the jacket turned out. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, you can subscribe down below, and it would mean a lot if you like, share and comment. Since I'm just starting this YouTube journey, every feedback is priceless. Thanks for watching and see you later.